How many of you have been hearing Brahma, satyam, jagan, mithya through the week? Any hands? How many times did it come back to you that I am the reality and everything around me is a changeable experience? Anyone? Did it help you? Romney, how did it help you?
Just superficial things at work just don't matter.
It didn't matter that much. How did it help you, Swara?
It was like it's been just a regrounding, re-solidifying in being present.
Helps you become present.
Yeah.
Who else raised their hand? Somebody else did. Manaswini, how did it help you?
Just the reminder of the curiosity of who am I, and just having that come to me early in the morning, and it kind of feeling like a riddle or a puzzle or kind of this excitement around it. And so it's been interesting to play with.
Tueri, how did it help you?
Very similarly to pull back and become more of the observer.
Become more of the observer. Karen?
Just kind of broadening everything.
Broadens everything. That's wonderful. Because a narrow approach doesn't help, yeah? So once we waken up and if we can broaden, then the broadened one here and at every level will make a better Vairagya. Do you agree? If the doctor or the healer herself or himself is in a constricted place, then what transmission of Shakti, energy, strength and confidence can we possibly provide? But if it is possible to remain in the most optimum space possible, then the act of healing becomes an act of magic and transformation and ignites within the other lost soul hope of transformation. And once hope is restored, faith is subtly transferred from the healer to the suffering one. Actually, the journey of health begins because body doesn't want to stay unhealthy. I mean, if unhealth was a natural state of affairs, nobody would complain. What do you think? Huh? My dog, he's aging now, so he has age-related arthritis in one of his legs. And I see that from morning to night, he's preoccupied with healing it. He licks it, he gives it energy, the way he climbs up and down the stairs, and how he comes and tells me, Mom, is it time for Abhyanga? Because I give him Abhyanga now twice a day. That's what's helping him walk. And he lays down on the pillow and says, I love Ayurveda. I literally hear him say that, you know. Yeah. When the first time I held him, he didn't really want to be touched. But then now that he's getting that soothing oil, he knows this is good for me. And then he wanted to lick it right away. He wanted to help me. But I said, Saya, after half hour you can lick it. Because I thought, what fun. Now he can have pinda tail go through his skin as well as his mouth. So he's getting medicine both ways. We in Ayurveda apply oils that we can even eat. We don't put chemicals on the system. We apply even edible things. So why is my dog appreciating healing? Why? Because health is our natural state. Why do we appreciate freedom? Because freedom is our natural state. Why do we appreciate love, affection? Because that is our natural state. Why do we rebel to anything that is less than? Why do we have suffering? Why do we complain? Because we are not in our swabhava or our natural state. Similarly, if we go deeper and deeper into this equation of then what is our natural state, what is truly at the foundation of our natural state, then we realize that actually Brahma satyam, jagan mithya. So those of you who are regulars, you know what that means. Brahma here relates to the absolute reality, to truth. I am the truth, which is unchangeable, which is ever auspicious, Shivam, which is unchangeable, Sanatan. And all else is a transient, changeable, relative reality, and hence the word to this changeable, transient reality is called mithya. And mithya is a special Sanskrit word which explains the phenomena of what definitely has isness. It's there, but it doesn't have absoluteness because it will change. Because it shall perish. Because what appears as bad may become good later. What is seeming so exciting and wonderful may create badness afterwards. But what is absolute is me. And therefore, when at every moment of our experience, if we remember this core essence of Vedanta teaching, which is, say after me, Brahma satyam, jagan mithya. This is the bottom line. So I heard it when I've heard this expression from my teacher when he really needed to steady himself. And the day my grandfather received the news of his youngest son, Tataji's brother, being hit by a moving vehicle and dying on the spot. And the moment this news came to him, Baba said, and then before he wanted to do anything else, he wanted to say, Brahma satyam, jagan mithya. And then the grandfather that emerged after, the father that emerged after this restoration was Brahma, the absolute reality. And he could configure a bigger reality. What is that bigger reality? The bigger reality is that there are 6 waves, 3 types in total, which live in mithya. Brahma is one. Life and death are 2 waves, they belong to the body. Jivan, mrityu, life, death. They come and go to the body, not to Brahma. Brahma never dies, Brahma is never born. My uncle is Brahma, he is eternal, his son. Second is hunger and thirst. You are just sitting around and time to time hunger will cause suffering. Have you seen it? That is why you feel hunger, you start looking for food. You don't know, but it can cause the biggest suffering. It is the suffering, if you keep that hunger going in you for any reason, you can commit the biggest crime. Are you aware of it? Hunger and thirst are 2 such things. And hunger and thirst come to what? To prana, to our energy body. Brahma is never hungry or thirsty. It does not depend upon these things. Sharanya, can you be with your daughter? Yes. And thirdly, joy and sorrow. Sukha, dukkha. Exhilaration and tremendous distress. This also is the last type of wave that occurs to the mind. So the ordinary human being remains afflicted with these 6 types of waves and takes them very personally. There are people who lose their entire well-being due to a death in the family. Have you heard of it? Their whole life goes away. Or, some sorrow comes their way. Or hunger and thirst disturbs them. And in the name of hunger and thirst, they hold jobs, they hold positions, they hold, this whole empire to meet the wave of hunger and thirst, if you think about it. They give away their whole life. They wake up from morning to night only meeting 2 basic waves, hunger and thirst. You understand? Literally, physical hunger, and started with that. But Vedanta informs us, wake up, wake up. These are only waves. They come and go. They follow each other. Don't lose your Viveka, discrimination and sense of centeredness because of this. So when Baba said Brahma satyam jagan mithya, I'd never heard him say it loudly. He might be living it. He was trying to live it, but he had to vocalize it. And he had to vocalize it maybe because it was a shattering moment for a human being. You can understand. But when I heard that in him, he went in, and then when he opened his eyes, he was calm, and then he went through the procedures of a father, and he shed the appropriate, when I mean appropriate, the normal biological, psychological release of tears, because another requirement of Ayurveda is don't block your tears. And but he did not lose his basic swa or self in the process. So Brahma satyam jagan mithya broadens us, deepens us, gives us a different perspective, helps us deal with work or life stress, and it is the core essence. Why do I feel like teaching Brahma satyam jagan mithya to future healers? Because 3 classes of disease afflict us. Again, at the level of the body, at the level of the mind, and at the level of the being, which is the deeper self. If the deeper self gets too entangled in the waves of change, it will suffer. If the being can stay a little detached, it will flourish. When I was a young child, we used to rarely go to the movies. As such, in India, there were not many movie halls. But the first movie I saw was called Rani or Lal Pari. Rani was the girl and Lal Pari was the red fairy. Red fairy. Fairy with wings? Yeah. So it was a magical story, and everybody had gone to it, and we were always the last people in the neighborhood to go to anything good. But finally Tataji took me and my daughter, my sister, my father, and my mother went along, and we all dressed up in our best clothes, and I went there. It was such a terrible movie. It ruined me forever, because what happened was this little girl lost her mother. Manju may remember this movie because it came when we were young. Do you remember this one, Rani or Lal Pari? It was a blockbuster for children. Yeah, the name you may remember. So this girl's mother dies, and she's somehow looking for her mother. She goes up to this different celestial sphere where she meets this Lal Pari, a fairy in red clothes with red wings, who helps her find her mother, something like Nemo, you know, in that celestial sphere. And then the mother, lo and behold, teaches her Vedanta and says, I am not dead. I am now with you even more. So it was a beautiful story. But, you know, for the little me, it was like, you lost your mom? Oh my God. I was crying, and it's very difficult for me. I mean, I couldn't get the Vedanta message. All I was like, why did her mom die? It's a painful movie for me. Much later, I was so excited when somebody found some old CD of it and showed me the whole movie. I was in my late 30s, and I said, this movie is a wonder. It's so wonderful. I hope we can one day, you know, play it here. But I needed like 40 more years to understand that kid movie and be detached enough from the wave of death to really get the fun part of that movie. Are you understanding? So when we get too fused we lose discrimination. So we are learning this important Vedantic text shlok by shlok because it is my hope that students who become future ambassadors and practitioners of this divine science Ayurveda can become more free inside them, more joyful inside them, more healthful inside them. And then they become beautiful, glistening is a word, shining? Glistening, shining vessel of this great science. I have to compliment you, third year students. Abhiji and I drank an extra cup of chai because you guys are doing so well in the clinic. Clap, clap. On top of that, over the 3 years, you guys have changed yourself so much due to the ongoing spiritual training. So the clinic is all about the science, but the vessel that is unfolding this science is really spirit. You understand? And that is why in 3 short years, to convert a student who walks in saying, "Oh, Shunyaji, I have come to Vedika, I don't know why I am here," to a person who is going to change the world. Something has happened. I don't know why I am here, Hemaji. I am suffering, I am miserable. And by the way, 6 into 10 million waves, 60 million waves are hurting me, not just 6. Who told you 6 waves? 60 million waves are hurting me. In 3 years, is able to sit calmly, look at a patient, diagnose them soul, mind, body, figure out a chikitsa. Huh? What happened? Because the scientific training with the spiritual sadhana creates a unique matchstick and a matchbox situation. If the matchbox doesn't have the right quality, right? If you rub 2 things together, the quality of the rubbing has to be exact. You understand? And that is why we continue to understand Brahma, satyam, jagan, mithya, a very core number 19 shloka. And many people confuse mithya. And they say things words like, "I am real, world is an illusion." Never use that word illusion. Mithya doesn't mean illusion. That is not correct translation. I am real, world is a dream. No. Rishis didn't say world is a dream. Rishis just said there is realms of relativity and then complete absoluteness. And it is when we are asleep and we are dreaming, it is also a world, but it is relative, and the only way out of the suffering of that dream, say a tiger is chasing you and there is nowhere left to go, and there is a, you have reached the corner of the usko kya bolte hain, chattan, cliff, and you are only going to fall down. You are between the hard and the rock and the hard place, and the best way to get out of this situation is to wake up. Thank God, that was a dream. Have you had that moment? Yes. Now problem is another dream starts. This one is 3-dimensional. That one was 8-dimensional. This one is 3-dimensional. That's the problem. So now this next dream start. It's also relative, you are told. Here the changes take place slowly. And in a set time of quantum. Now how to get out of this problem? Sometimes we get caught up. Then we are told, remember waking up from that dream? Wake up from this dream. This is the waking sequence, that was the dream sequence. That was dream consciousness, this is awake consciousness, but they are both relative. One moves in quantum time, 8 in 8 directions. One moves in 24-hour cycle, 12-month season in 3 directions. But you have only one option, is to wake up. I don't think I'll wake up. I think I'll just fall asleep. Okay. For a few minutes you will seem like you got rest. What will happen? All of the seeds will go inside and slumber in your heart. That is called the karmic causal place. Again the dream world will come out of here. Again the awake world will come. So no escape. No escape. So then Vedanta says to us, live while we are here. At least let us stop taking everything in such a fixed way. So we'll continue with the shlok. Today I have to show you something else about our India trip, so I will close it. So we have already talked about shlok 20, sorry, not 19. Most important shlok. Brahma satyam jagan mithya teva rupo vinishchaya soyam nitya nitya vastu vivekaha samudahritah. Now the next one is, only when you have discrimination between what is Brahma, what is mithya, what is the real self is the observer, between the deep sleep, the sleep and the dream, and the awake state, only this awareness doesn't seem to change. I am constant. I am the one who says awake. I am the one who says I just dreamed. I am the one who said, oh God, I was blissfully deep asleep. I had no awareness. That means this I is constant, and this I is what I want to explore. Who am I? The foundational question. It takes me back. So this constant discrimination is called Viveka. Only one who is doing Viveka, something will happen to them. And it is called Vairagya. Tadai Vairagyam jihasa ya darshan shavanadibhi dehadi brahma paryante hyanitye bhoga vasthuni. Something unique happens. When one keeps discriminating between Brahma and mithya, say Romney, you continued with it. From the office, in the car, to the wake, in the dream also, you are doing this Viveka after a while. When one starts having this practice of observing what is the outside changeable experience and what is the reality, when one starts doing it, the next process sets in, which is one starts developing some kind of non-fascination for the mithya. Because this word non-fascination has to be told. Ideally, we are fascinated with the world of mithya, right? We want to grab it with all our five senses. That is what I was saying, darshana. What we see, we get attracted to. What we hear, we get attracted to, right? And we think that is the only reality. To the point, what is depression? Where I have no reality. This is the only reality. What is anxiety? I can't deal with this reality. But when the same Vedanta comes into the person becomes much bigger than the outer changeable reality. Do you agree? When you say, oh, my mother-in-law is at home and I can't deal with her. So you pay someone and that person says, you are much bigger than the mother-in-law. Go and give her a smile, eat an apple and go home. Then suddenly you go home and you're feeling better. What happened? You didn't go to a reality program of swap mother-in-laws. You only swapped your perspective. Instead of being smaller than the mom, somebody you respect told you, you're bigger, go. And you became bigger for 3 days until it was time for your next appointment. Then you felt it is legitimately time to collapse again. So anyway, somebody's bread and butter continued. But the point is, what happened? Just a change in perspective. But what if Vedanta completely turns things around and there is a permanent understanding? At that time, you will feel a repulsion from the attractions of the world. And you will feel attraction towards yourself. How many of you felt you were auditing the world, but you were not going to buy any of that stuff? Have you felt it? Did the people who I talked to, did you feel it? So it's almost like, yeah. It's like Alice in Wonderland. What if she went again? A new book. Would she be at the hare's party similarly amazed? Or what she would, I know you guys. What about, what's that story, Tinkerbell and the Peter Pan, right? It's some tragedy involved. What if it happened again? Would the children necessarily fly out of the window? Not necessarily. They'll say, been there, done that. Go find another characters for the book. See what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is, good or bad, it's changeable. Many times we have taken a lot of drugs and we've suffered, Do we want those drugs even if people say, this entire ecstasy free, will you take it? You will say, no, I don't want it. Because you've been burnt, right? So some things we develop repulsion because we know this will harm us. If we are given some poisonous foods, arm-filled food, and you are an Ayurveda student, so you know it doesn't work for you, will you eat it? No. If people force in your mouth, you will vomit. Won't that happen to you? So what happens is, in this Vairagya, we don't have to wear saffron clothes and leave the world and wear a lot of malas and wear this big tilak and walk out. No. Walk out from our family, walk out from our obligations. No, that is not Vairagya. That is monkhood, and that's a very respected different phase and path of certain chosen people who are already at a certain level. Vairagya is for here and now, where we feel a separation from the world because now we know it is transient. Is that an acceptable position? Because in the default, for 99.9% experience, before this knowledge, we are completely being attracted by our five senses in this or that. Even in our pursuit of God, we make it all about our senses. But in the Vedantic experience, even the outer God won't cause repulsion, but will quickly lead inwards. There will be only a limit to which the outer God can please us. Are you understanding? There will be this inner place that there will be a withdrawal. So Vairagya, Raga means attachment. Vairagya means pulling back of the attachment, almost causing like a space. And after a while, there will be a slow distaste. But the distaste won't come up in the discharge of duties. The distaste will come up anytime the world says, give me all your attention, please. Otherwise, I'm going to poke you. And if you go to Vedika too much and you become insensitive to my pokes, then I'll seduce you. Either way, I want your attention, the world will say. World and its living beings and its non-living things. But the one who is doing constant Vivek will say, I'm a passerby, thank you very much. I'm a visitor. I got caught up in these experiences. I'm working on waking up. Have you seen the hog, which one? The day repeats itself?
Oh, Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day? What a Vedanta movie, huh? For a while there, it was all very real. But after a while, this guy was passing through doing seva. Stopping buses, saving accidents, knew the whole deal. There was no joy in it, nothing new. But it's just the joy of being awake in the dream. Where everybody else was asleep, he was the only one awake in the dream. Knowing that the waves of life and death, food and hunger, and joy and sorrow just come relentlessly, one after another. So if somebody is seriously studying Vedanta with a teacher through a traditional book, will not sit and lament for a long time when the preferred mode is not there. They may have some discomfort, but they will always say, the body is uncomfortable. There'll almost be a different reporting. And after a while, even that reporting will become very quiet. Do you like that kind of strength? We are told to be sthita pragya. We are told to be calm. Charak, our Ayurveda sage, has taught us how to have samabuddhi, a balanced buddhi. But how to have a balanced buddhi? How to have a balanced thinking? Because thinking gets pulled here and there. Here we are going to Vedanta to understand we can have a balanced buddhi because the buddhi's master, the witness, can be separate, and it is Brahma satyam, jagan mithya. You want to close your eyes and say it once? And when you say it with me, Brahma satyam, do you want to feel where you are inside? Okay. Brahma satyam.
Brahma satyam.
Now be aware of the world. All the way. Jagan mithya. Open your eyes. This can be the most centering, and it's not a mantra, it's a saying, it's a belief. It's a game changer. It's a paradigm shifter. It is a counterintuitive thinking. The intuitive normal thinking is Jagan satyam. World is real. I am not there. Brahma mithya. Am I there? Who am I? Is God there? Is just soul exist? World is real. Let's break it down into molecules and atoms. No, chemicals came together, living thing was created. That's the default. This is a counterintuitive statement. It changes your life forever. And that's why I'm spending time on shloka number 22. So I end here.